Welcome to episode 380 of the Postal Hub podcast. I'm Ian Kerr. In this episode, we're going to talk PUDOs and out-of-home delivery with Tim Davies. Tim is the head of out-of-home and SME accounts at DPD UK. Tim is one of the many expert speakers appearing at Parcel and Post Expo this year. Go to parcelandpostexpo.com for more information about this year's event being held in Amsterdam from the 21st to the 23rd of October. So, coming up right now, Tim Davies, Head of Out-of-Home and SME Accounts at DPD UK, talking PUDOs and out-of-home delivery. Joining me on the line is Tim Davies. Tim is Head of Out-of-Home and SME Accounts at DPD UK, and Tim is one of the speakers at Parcel and Post Expo, coming up very soon, the 21st, 22nd and 23rd of October in Amsterdam, the Amsterdam in the Netherlands, if you're wondering which Amsterdam. I'm sure there's more than one Amsterdam in the world, Tim. Anyway, there's only one Amsterdam that counts when it comes to this. Tim, we want to talk a little bit about DPD's out-of-home network in the UK and some of the trends that you're seeing there. So let's just start with a bit of a big picture view. Tell us about DPD's out-of-home delivery network in the UK and what it consists of.
We've grown the out-of-home network, the shop and locker network, massively over this last 5 to 6 years, Ian, to be honest. When I started and took this job on 7-8 years ago now, I think we were about 1,500 shops, and it was just shops then. We now literally turned a bit of a milestone this last week or so. We're now at 15,000 points, PUDO points, with 12,000 shops and 3,000 lockers, and the locker network has grown rapidly, considering we really only put our first locker down around about 18 months or so ago with Quadient, maybe 2 years ago, getting my dates right. So yeah, it's grown massively. We've seen a huge focus on out of home and what the proposition needs to be. So we've been doing an awful lot of work over the last few years.
Tell us a bit about the Parcel Shop network in the UK. I gather it's partnerships with other retailers, and they put a DPD sticker on the window to say, there are parcels here from DPD. Or how does it work? What kind of partnerships do you have there?
We've got a number of independents where that's just a shopkeeper who's really well placed in the local community, who can offer our services. And you're quite right, we can give them shop stickers and different bits of merchandise that they can use in their shops to promote that service. We then have got some partnerships with some very well-known high street retailers, Co-op, Sainsbury's and Argos, Matalan and several others, where they, as a group, as a shop network, will offer that service in their shops. And again, we will give them materials to promote that service in those shops. And what we've seen probably over this last couple of years more than ever. I mean, initially when we started, we would like to be exclusively in that shop, so they only provide our service. What we see now more and more is retailers who want to offer an agnostic approach to pick up. So they will offer Amazon counter, potentially every. So we've seen retailers moving into this and switching onto this in terms of footfall and driving additional revenue and being able to offer that service for all carriers.
And what about the partnership with the post office? Is that considered part of this out-of-home network, or is that really a partnership when it comes to failed first-time deliveries or things like that?
Absolutely. I was going to kind of come on to the post office. That's been a major partnership with ours now over this last 3 years or so. We've accelerated our footprint with the post office up to 6,000 post offices recently. They take a significant chunk of our volume, provide a fantastic service. That's what they do day in, day out, handle kind of parcels and post. They also sell our services over the counter as well to their customers. So the post office and the partnership and the relationship with the post office has just gone from strength to strength. And they really do give us that breadth of network that you need in out of home if you're going to get to the kind of high coverage numbers that we're at.
And just a quick question while we're on the topic of how are we setting up these partnerships, is DPD's approach when it comes to technology in those outlets, is it that you've got your own piece of hardware that you put in there, or is it an app that sits on a mobile phone in the outlet? What's sort of the approach that DPD UK takes when it comes to partnering with PUDO outlets from the technology side?
Well, we can offer a number of solutions in the way you've just outlined. If it's an independent shop, then generally we would provide them with the PDA, the piece of hardware that allows them to provide the service. In terms of some of the bigger retailers, we will sit on their device as an application and the way you've described. And increasingly, certainly with the post office and with the Collect Plus guys, we've integrated into their systems. So their systems talk to our system and allows that flow of data.
Yeah, there's sort of a feeling that getting that side of things is a key part to not just day-to-day operational success, but also keeping retailers in the network. But anyway, I'm at the risk of editorialising here, Tim, and I did promise before we hit record that I would try not to editorialise too much.
Cool.
Let's just talk a little bit about the trends then in out-of-home delivery. There was some GeoPost research released just recently that pointed to an increasing acceptance from consumers of out-of-home delivery, or interest in out-of-home delivery, depending on how you want to spin it. What are you seeing in the UK? Given, as you said, there's such a, what did you say? You've just clocked up 15,000 out-of-home delivery points.
Yeah.
So it's not a flash in the pan. What are some comments there about what you're seeing in terms of trends of out-of-home delivery in the UK?
Well, we all know the kind of vintage story and the way that's accelerated people using lockers and the desire to go onto those platforms, Vinted, eBay, other platforms, and buy and sell things and become as part of our data lives. That plays into out of home because all that volume either starts or finishes in a shop or a locker. So that's accelerated the acceptance of the idea of out of home. And in terms of shipping parcels directly to your choice of shop or locker from a checkout, we've seen some really quite big acceleration rates in terms of take-up. We're getting more and more of our retailers in DPD UK. As you know, the customer base in DPD UK is, we work with all the major retailers, all the major shippers, right the way down to kind of SMEs, which is another part of my role. And they are all showing an interest really in having conversations around what our out-of-home proposition is and how can we work with them to expand their choice and convenience at checkout. And we've got partnerships that offer easy software integrations into checkouts that map out that journey. Where's your nearest shop? Has it got parking? What its opening hours are? Easy to find, easy to choose, and the rates and the commercials that we can offer again make it very attractive. So we've seen some significant rise in take-up rates at checkout, and on the return side, because predominantly out of home is people choosing to collect something from a shop or a locker or having to return something via a shop or a locker. We've done a lot of work to develop our own returns portal, but we also work with all the major returns portal providers. The thing is with out of home, you need strong partnerships because it's the consumer's choice. How they do they collect it from a shop, do they collect it from a locker, etc., etc. So you have to have the right partnerships in offering the seamless technical journey for consumers just to make a couple of clicks and they're done.
I think the things you've mentioned there are really important about choice and convenience for the consumer. And that just seems to be coming up again and again. Whenever we're talking about e-commerce delivery in any shape or form, it's always about the choice and convenience. The consumers, they've chosen to shop online for whatever reason, and they need that delivery experience to be convenient for them, because otherwise they may as well just step out the door and shop physically in a bricks and mortar environment. Probably getting into a bigger conversation there than we probably want to get into today. But let's just continuing this, talking about DPD UK. The reputation, let's say, of DPD UK in terms of residential delivery has been around a sort of a sophisticated delivery option.
Yeah.
Talking about time delivery and giving consumers choice and control over their deliveries, the time of day of their deliveries and all those sorts of things. How does this choice then fit into DPD's overall offering? It's fitting in out of home with its residential delivery offering.
Consumers can make choices around having their parcel in-flighted, we call it in-flight, into a shop or a locker on the same day as the delivery. And our systems cope with that change and will rearrange that delivery as requested. In terms of people's lives and the way, certainly where they've changed since COVID, and we kind of, everyone's out and about and back to normal, and there's more and more office working and so on and so forth. The ship notification that we send. So if you go online, you make that choice in the way you've described, you will get a notification from DPD, almost immediately to say, we've got that data effectively, we've got your order, and that will be with us and out for delivery tomorrow. So from that point on, effectively, the consumer's in control. So they can wait for the notification in the morning and direct to the shop in the way I've described. If they've done it from checkout, as in they've chosen the shop directly from checkout, what they will then get is a delivery. They will get a notification as soon as that parcel has been delivered into that shop with a QR code to go and collect it. Now, in terms of providing an experience around that, the consumer gets 7 days to collect it. They'll get reminder notifications from DPD. But the really key point here I want to make is, the reason that DPD is consistently in that kind of in that number one spot in the UK is because we work so hard on compliance. And people don't talk about this because it's a bit boring, it's not sexy, but compliance is what drives that experience that everybody wants, and that certainty. So if the driver does everything he's trained to do and paid to do, and the shop colleague does everything that we work hard with those partnerships I've just described to provide that scan in, scan to shelf, we know exactly where that parcel is in that shop, we know exactly when the consumer's collected it. That data, that compliance allows us to provide a customer service experience that's second to none. Because if there is a question around that parcel, phoning customer service is a far more meaningful conversation if we've got the data. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I also think that what do you call it, customer service experience. It's also about certainty.
Yeah,
as a consumer, you want certainty.
Yeah.
Well, you've just talked about the way the consumer can interact with the delivery. Just one final question then about this is if a customer has selected residential delivery, it's gone out for delivery, and they've been called into the office. So they're not going to be at home that day. They've had to swap their work days, or they've had to go and pick up a sick child from school, or whatever it might be. These things happen. Can that delivery be redirected to an out-of-home delivery or collection point, or does it have to remain a residential delivery? What
will happen in those circumstances is the driver will, unless we've had a notification back to the customer to say, can you please change my delivery, take it to a shop, leave it with a neighbour, the driver will then obviously attempt that delivery. But, that receiver's had to pop out in the way you've described. What will happen then, as long as that parcel is what we call shop compatible, it's not a big, huge, over 30 kilo parcel, the driver will take that on that same day to the nearest shop available for the nearest shop to that customer's address. So, and when you've got 15,000 points and 97% of the population that live in, a 10-minute walk from a PUDO point, that's convenience.
And that's like the postal experience in some respects. If let's take Australia Post, if it's out for delivery, the customer's not home, it's a failed first-time delivery, gets returned to the nearest post office for collection. So it's a similar kind of experience there. There's been an attempted delivery, and instead of it going back to a depot, which is what would have happened
previously
years ago, or gone out for redelivery a following day, it's just bang, straight away gone to a PUDO point.
Exactly that. And as soon as that parcel's delivered into that PUDO point, which by and large is very, very close to customer's house, they will get a notification to say that the driver will do a scan to say that it's going to redirect to the nearest PUDO, and as soon as it's been delivered in, the shop will scan it, driver will scan it, and the consumer will then have the notification say it's in the shop awaiting collection, and then they get the 7 days and so on and so forth.
So that is, again, we're talking about communication with the consumer or the end recipient to let them know where their parcel is at all times. And this comes back to certainty again, and you mentioned, we sort of mentioned it in passing about, the calls to the customer contact centre, which will be a where is my parcel call.
Yeah.
We want to avoid those in the industry, don't we?
100%, yeah. I mean, that's if we do get a call, and it's not always where my parcel is, can you help me, whatever. The scan compliance, the data that we've got allows us to provide that certainty, even if at the beginning of the conversation there might be some little uncertainty.
There's so much more we could talk about here, Tim. but we are running out of time.
Okay.
But people who want to find out more about what DPD UK is doing in the out-of-home space, well, you'll be presenting at Parcel and Post Expo, which is being held from the 21st to the 23rd of October this year in Amsterdam. And people will be able to buttonhole you afterwards, won't they?
Absolutely.
And grill you about what's happening. There's so much more we could dive into here. It's not just about the technology, about the agreements, about the compliance, about how you store the parcels in the PUDO points, which is the kind of thing that nerds like me ask about. But don't worry, everybody, we're not going to dive into that today. So if you go to parcelandpostexpo.com, you'll be able to find out more about what's happening in the expo side of things, in the conference side of things, which you'll find where you find speakers like Tim and many others. And you'll even find me wandering around at Parcel and Post Expo with a microphone and a video camera this year, Tim. So look out, everybody. Tim, it's been great having you on the podcast today. Tim Davies, Head of Out-of-Home and SME Accounts at DPD UK. Thank you very much for joining us on the Postal Hub podcast today.
Thanks very much, Ian. I've really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Who would you like to hear interviewed on the Postal Hub podcast? Email me your suggestions. Ian@thepostalhub.com is my email address. Maybe you want to sponsor the Postal Hub podcast. Same email address, but I'll treat your email with more urgency. Just kidding. I treat all emails with the same amount of urgency, as everybody knows. Anyway, email me, Ian@thepostalhub.com, if you want to find out more about appearing on the podcast, or you have a recommendation, or if you want to sponsor the podcast or anything like that. Remember that you can also follow me. You can follow the Postal Hub podcast on LinkedIn if that's your thing. I mean, LinkedIn, it's gone to the dogs, hasn't it? It's gone the same way of all the other social media platforms, let's be honest. Anyway, if you go to thepostalhub.com though, thepostalhub.com, you can sign up for my email newsletters. I've got a weekly one that comes out whenever there's a new episode of the podcast. I've got the Daily Delivery Digest, if you want the headlines from around the delivery world delivered direct to your inbox every day. And I've got the Post Office Digest, which is a monthly, more sedate kind of email that is sent out once a month, hence it being monthly, with all the retail, post office and customer touchpoint news that you need to know. Oh, that's enough. You've heard enough from me. I'm Ian Kerr. Thanks for listening in, and I look forward to your company next time on the Postal Hub podcast.